Hello folks, this is Fuzzfinger. Thank you for joining me. So I'm going to do another video today. I'm a Holy Priest and it looks like we're doing the Vortex Pinnacle Heroic. So I'm just going to go and get my 150 Valor points for doing it within the first 7 times of the week. And we'll just see what group we've got here. Okay, we've got a Warlock. We've got another Priest, a Shadow Priest. Check out the tank. It looks like it's got some pretty okay gear. It's a Death Knight. Hopefully we shouldn't have any problems here. Healing as long as people move when they're supposed to move. Now I just cast Flash Heal then so that I can get my chakra buff. Hopefully the tank might think about pulling. Where is he? Looks like he's AFK or something. I always seem to get that in pugs. Tank goes AFK. I guess it's my sort of luck. At least he's here now. So a couple of people asked me what add-on it is that I'm using. It's Healbot. You can set it up for whatever class that you're playing with. So obviously I'll set it up for some pre-spells. And it's just a case of clicking. Left click for me does Flash Heal. Right click does Greater Heal. And middle click does Renew. Now if you're playing a Holy Priest and you haven't got very good gear, you might want to use Heal as well. Which is a lot more mana efficient but doesn't heal as much. I'm just using Flash Heal all the time since I've got quite a bit of gear out there looking for raid and I've spent some Valor points. So I've got a nice bit of mana and mana regen. For a 5-man, Flash Heal is pretty much all I need. Flash Heal and Greater Heal I should say. But of course I do also keep Renew up on the tank. And if I can be bothered, I'll throw a Prayer of Mending on him as well. I mentioned in the last video when I was on my priest that I think Holy Word Serenity, which is the instant cast single target heal, is more appropriate to the 5-man groups. The other Holy Word's an AoE spell which is more suited for raids, in my opinion. Like I said, I'm not a pro gamer or anything like that. So maybe the maths would prove me wrong, but for my personal playstyle, that's how I do it. So I usually keep the tank's frame up on my screen, so I can easily cast Holy Word when his health drops, maybe after a Flash or Greater Heal. Since it's an instant cast Holy Word, it's very useful. Plus it also refreshes Renew. So sometimes you'll see me using it, even outside of combat. That's just to keep Renew up on the tank. Since the Holy Word actually uses less mana to cast than the casting of fresh Renew. It seems to be taking a little bit of damage, but nothing we can't handle, I wouldn't say. And the DPS isn't the greatest, but we'll work with what we've got, so I'm not going to be one to complain. If there's one thing that really pisses me off in groups, it's elitism. When someone starts spamming party chat, oh, you're not doing 25k DPS. I can't stand that, to be honest. Look, we're getting through the dungeon, nobody's died. It might be a tad bit slower than you'd like, but tough. If you don't like it, don't do pugs. The reason why I keep going blue and having this green fire around me is from a trinket that I got from the Well of Eternity off the last boss. Basically it has a chance to make me go all funny looking, and it does a little bit of damage to enemies around me. I mean, it's negligible damage, especially since I'm not even in range most of the time, being a holy priest. But that's just in case you were wondering what it was. I've no idea what this blue debuff thing is, but I can dispel it, so I suppose I should. By the way guys, let me know if you want to see any other dungeon runs with my other characters. Level 85, so I've obviously got the priest. I've got my paladin, who can be DPS, retribution or protection, tank. And I've got my hunter, and I've also got my rogue. So just give me a shout if you want to see any of the classes run through these dungeons. I was thinking about respecking this priest to shadow. Maybe go for the dual spec. But the problem is I've got no gear, shadow gear at all, so I'd have to literally start from the very beginning. I mean, my holy gear is pretty awesome, so I guess I could just use that to begin with, but eventually I would have to upgrade it. I just don't know if I've got the patience for gearing up again. At least not at the minute. So we're just getting through the trash. It's the last trash hall before the first boss. The first boss shouldn't be a problem unless people forget to run away from the ability where he pulls his tornadoes towards him. Simple fact is, if you don't move from those tornadoes, you will die. Even if you have pretty good gear. And I just run straight into one. That's absolutely stupid. Okay, I need to move. Okay, that's not a good start, is it? No, that's okay. It's only when he pulls them in is when you really need to move. But I've got this bloody slow debuff on me that isn't helping at the minute. There we go. Okay, and move away from them. Oh, the tank needs to move. Move. Heal. No, that's what happens if you don't move, unfortunately. You end up having to do the fight without a tank, but it shouldn't be a problem as long as everyone else keeps moving. The rest of his damage is quite negligible, to be honest. You can pretty much ignore it. Everyone seems to know what they're doing now anyway, so I don't see us having much of a problem, even without the tank. And he's almost down. And there we have it. We pretty much four-man that boss without a tank. Still could be his first time here, so I'm not one to criticise, as I said earlier. You're welcome. Be freaking dizzy after that, wouldn't you? Be nice to get some volatile airs off these trash. They're going for about 35 gold each on my server, so you can get like 5 or 6 each time you loot them off a single mob. There you go, have a heal for your trouble. Now there's a couple of ghosts up here if I remember correctly. Sometimes people have a habit of running up here and pulling them before the tank's even in range. Well, this isn't exactly challenging at the moment, is it? I'm not even healing. Now it's important to pull these big ash dragons out of that green circle, and quite a ways out actually, because the range on it's quite big, even bigger than the animation, and it does heal them. But the tank seems to know what he's doing, so just keep them faced away from the group and you're laughing really. You can stand in it for a minute if you want a bit of healing, but you don't need to when you've got a holy priest with you. Maybe if you had some crappy resto shaman or something, but not a holy priest. So we've got another one of these dragons, it's the last one. There's 2 in the instance, but we'll pull the ghost first, I'm guessing. So what do you guys think about the new talents and massive class changes that are coming up in the next expansion, Mr. Pandaria? To be honest, I don't mind the actual talent revamp. I think it's quite useful, since the talent system we've got at the minute basically needn't bother existing, since everyone does the same talents. They may as well just built it into the actual spells or something, the way it is at the moment. So so long as it works out, I reckon it could be pretty good. I've got to actually look at the priest changes. I've heard there's some pretty major ones, but then I heard there is for all the other classes as well. So I know people don't really like change, especially when it comes to WoW, but you know, you just gotta trust, I guess, what Blizzard do and see what happens really. Anyway, let's concentrate on this. We don't want people dying. If you are farming for your Valor points from dungeons, then you know, I mean, I'm quite lucky in this dungeon. The group seems okay, but a lot of the time you get dodgier groups when you're doing the older heroics, believe it or not, rather than when you choose the new 3-hour twilights, which actually drop better gear, and you should think they'd be harder, but they're not, and they have a higher item level requirement to enter them, which means that you get a lot more noobs in the older heroics than you do in the new ones. At least that's my experience, although this group's not going too bad at the minute. I know I'm only talking crap, but I'm just giving you my opinions. And you can take them, and you can, or you can leave them. I really don't care. That's why they're called opinions, and not facts. So we've got the second boss coming up. Second boss is fairly easy as a healer. As you probably know, you just have to dodge the twisters that are moving around the area, and you have to, well, you don't have to, but it's advised that you turn your back against the direction of the wind. You actually get a buff then, a casting speed buff. If you face towards the wind, you get a debuff. But it's pretty easy as a healer because you don't need to be facing the person you're healing, so you can literally just stand in one spot and just turn around on the spot, as long as you dodge the tornadoes as well, of course. Which I just didn't. Oh, come on. So, when the icon is green at the top right, that means you've got the buff. If it's red, you've got the debuff. He does change the direction of the wind every now and then, but you do get an alert, so there it goes. Just be prepared to turn around and try and dodge some of these twisters, albeit not very successfully at the same time. Ha! You thought you got me, didn't you? That bloody tornado. Also, if you are the tank, I know it's a bit tricky because you're trying to face certain directions and that with the wind, but just try and keep him faced away from people, because like now he's faced towards us. He just breathes his crap all over the rest of the party. Still is dropping down. I remember when Kata was first released, I say first released, a few weeks after, when everyone was starting to do the heroics. And this boss used to cause just so many wipes. He seems to have a lot more health than the other bosses around the same level. And people just couldn't get their hands on this mechanic of turning against the wind while dodging the tornado things. Caused a lot of drama, but that was in the distant past. And these instances have been nerfed to the ground since then. They're not as face roll as the Wrath heroics were, but they're a lot easier than they used to be. Anybody who tells you that the Kata heroics are now as easy as the Wrath heroics used to be, you can ignore them. They don't remember how easy the Wrath ones were. I mean, this instance is going to take about, what, half an hour? Probably about half an hour. You could do the Wrath heroics in about 10 minutes if you had a good group. So, I think they're trying to find something a little bit in between, aren't they, for Mop? That sounds so stupid, Mop. For Mists of Pandaria. They're bringing out the challenge mode feature, which lets you race against the clock in order to secure extra rewards, mainly for transmogrification, I believe. So that'll hopefully give that challenge to people who want the challenge, without over frustrating everybody else who don't want the challenge. So I can see why they're doing it. And I'm never going to be able to compete with, with the top people on the server at getting the best times in those dungeons, but I'll certainly give it a go, see what I can get as my personal best, and if I can beat it. Again, when Kata was first out and we started just doing these for the first time, these instances, these trash groups were a pain in the arse. They really were. But that was around the time when people weren't used to CCing, since I think the term crowd control disappeared from the vocabulary of everyone in Wrath of the Lich King. You never used it at all. And then when Kata came out, you had to use it. and that was a bit of a shock for people. So when you had groups like this, which had 2 healers in each group, you were pretty screwed. Especially when Blizzard, in their wisdom, decided to put this field on the floor, this grounding field, which prevents spells from being cast within it, which made your CC choices limited. I don't know why it's there, to be honest. It's just a frustration more than a challenge. But it's there, so we work with it, don't we? And as we just head up the steps, we'll obviously have the AoE pack to deal with, which can do quite a bit of damage, and it has a massive aggro radius, as you'll see. And by the looks of it, they don't care who's the tank, since they just target everyone. As I said last time in the last video I made with my Holy Priest, I'm not really playing WoW all that much recently, but if you guys, want to see more of these videos, then I'm happy to do them. But please do let me know, because if I don't get any interest, then I'm not going to bother. I'll, do other stuff instead. I understand WoW's an old game, and maybe it's time to move on, maybe it isn't. Who knows? I don't know. I'll just go with the flow. I'm quite laid back. Be nice not to pull that group behind. They look fairly close from up here, don't they? I guess we're okay. Yeah, to be honest, this group's been pretty good. For a pug. DPS isn't fantastic, but people seem to know what they're doing. Well, maybe I shouldn't speak too early, actually, at the end of the day. The last boss can be a bit of a slog if people aren't concentrating. The last boss has one of those mechanics that will one-shot you if you're stupid. If you're paying attention, it will do no damage. Of course, I'm talking about the whole triangulated field that's created on the floor that you have to step into before the storm comes. We'll just kill this last one and then we can pretty much head straight to the boss. You can jump down the other, well, looks like where those people are going, if you want to get there a bit quicker, but for some reason I don't. I'll take the long way home. Take the long way home. Okay, and I missed the thing that makes you run faster as well. Oh well. As long as the group doesn't pull before I get there, we'll be fine. And they've pulled before I got there. Okay, time to start healing. Okay, so let's hope everyone knows what they're doing. Have I got mana? Yes, I've got mana. Do I need to tell the tank, or will he just go? I'll hint to him. Look, I'll put some healing stuff on him. There we go. If you jump when he casts Static Cling, then you can avoid it. But if you don't, then I can dispel it. Run away, so the chain lightning does a little less damage if you're at range. And I didn't avoid the Static Cling then. It is harder as a healer, since he's not focused on my screen. I can't see his cast. I have to rely on the prompt that pops up. There we go, that one's better. Oh no, come over here, come over here. No, that's not good. Somebody forgot to come over. In fact, 2 people did. I told you, you lose concentration on this boss and it's bad. Still, we did it. Some nice crappy blue items that nobody will need. And I'm going to win that Chaos Orb, I've got a feeling. They go for about 80 gold, that's why I think I'm going to win it. Okay, just say thank you to the party. Cheers everyone. Oh, and I said I'd win that. See, I know these things. Anyway guys, that's been the Vortex Pinnacle on my Holy Priest. This has been Fuzzfinger, thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.